Waycross presents an election forum for State Representative of Ohio's 27th District. There are two candidates running for one seat. They are, in alphabetical order, Rachel Baker, Kurt C. Hartman.
Good evening, I'm Curator Waycross Community Media, and this is our election forum. I want to bring you up to date on a couple things. Voting is Tuesday, November the 5th. Early voting starts October 8th. Now, the last day to register or update your name, address is October 7th. To get full details, go to Vote Ohio County, that's votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. Let me say that again, votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. I knew I'd get it right eventually. If you're watching this program live tonight, October 1st, local residents are invited to submit their own questions to candidates, which can be emailed to live@waycross.org. Again, that email address is live@waycross.org. Now, questions must be addressed where you will include your residence name, address, and the community that you lived. Now, those details will not be shared on the air. We will only read the first name and the street. For example, our question is from Mary on Waycross. To see this broadcast and other election forums, and for more information, go to waycross.tv. As we said in the opening, there are two candidates in the race of the state representative of the 27th District. Mr. Kurt Hartman is in our studio this evening. Ms. Rachel Baker could not be here tonight. She has pre-recorded her 2-minute opening statement, and we will hear that statement now.
Hi, I'm Rachel Baker, State Representative for House District 27. I am so sorry that I cannot be here in person as I had a previously scheduled meeting tonight, but I'm super appreciative of Waycross for offering this candidate forum and for allowing me to submit a pre-recorded video. I'm also super appreciative of the voters of House District 27 who've entrusted me to serve them for the past 20 months. It has been an honor working with Republicans and Democrats at the State House to pass bills that make life better for Ohioans. Whether it's modernizing the adoption process, piloting remote treatment for opioid use disorder, or fighting to ensure that Ohioans get refunds for improperly charged utility bills, it's been a busy 2 years. If reelected, I plan to continue working on curbing utility bills and property taxes that are skyrocketing and really hitting our families hard. I plan on continuing to improve access to quality, evidence-based healthcare, and to continue pushing for full funding of our public education to make sure that we are setting our children up for a bright future. I am the best candidate for District 27 because I'm not into culture wars and I'm not a polarizing representative. I will work with anyone to find the best solutions for Ohio's problems. For example, in my first term, I passed 5 bills through the House, all with Republican sponsors. I also fought hard to ensure that our district's projects were funded. This race boils down to 2 paths forward: a path of division, extreme rhetoric, and fighting, or a path of collaboration, making Ohio a better place and working for the people. It has been my greatest honor to serve you, and I will continue to work hard if I'm reelected. I'm asking you for your vote so that we can keep on the path of collaboration, common sense, and bipartisanship. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Hartman, we open up with your 2-minute opening statement.
Great. Thank you, Kurt, and I want to thank Waycross for providing this forum with an opportunity tonight for me to speak directly to the residents of the 27th State House District and to hear your questions tonight. Because as a public official, as a representative, you're there to listen to the people, and that's what I have a record of doing. I'm a native of the city of Cincinnati, grew up in the suburbs, but had the fortune to go to the United States Naval Academy. Served my time on active duty in the Navy, following which I then attended law school and came back to Cincinnati to practice law. Have been practicing law for about 29 years now. Even had a stint as a common pleas court judge here in Hamilton County. But in my private practice, it gave me the opportunity to work with individuals and small businesses, to hear their challenges and work with them on solutions to those challenges from the government. And I've been proven that record, and I know what people are dealing with. And when I listen to them then and I listen to them now, I know those challenges: the economy, opportunities for their children, the educational opportunities. And that is a challenge that we have. And I bring solutions to those problems, to listen to the voters and to empower the people, not the government, but the people, in order to better their lives, better the future for their children. That's what people want. I am that voice. I would be that advocate in Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you. We will have each question, we'll give you 2 minutes. First question is, why do you want to serve as the state representative?
Very fair question there. Because I have a commitment to fighting and advocating for people. That's my job as an attorney, and I will do likewise in Columbus, across the spectrum of people in the 27th District. As I indicated in my opening statement, the key of a state representative is listening first and foremost, hearing the concerns of the individuals, of local government officials, and then figuring out the solutions, working with people in Columbus to bring those solutions for those individuals. I have that track record. But I've also demonstrated in my history a streak of independence, that I can think for myself, I can challenge my own party officials when they need challenging. I think my opponent, on the other hand, basically sits in Columbus and does what her party leadership tells her to do. It's not advocating for the people of the 27th District. That's what the people need. I've got a proven track record of that. I want to take that to Columbus to help fight for the interest of the individuals, of the small businesses that are out there in the 27th District.
What's unique about your skills and experience that you would bring to being a state representative?
Well, I think I kind of just answered that in your previous question. As an attorney, as a former judge, my obligation is really first and foremost to listen and then to figure out how do we come to a solution. And you're solving those problems, getting a solution for individuals who are being challenged by the government or have other private disputes. And trying to get to that win-win solution is kind of how I've approached things in my legal practice, it's how I approach things in life. And I think that's what people want in their state representative. And I think that is the track record I have. But I think for myself, I analyze it, I listen, and we get to that solution then.
What do you view as the top 2 issues facing Ohio and your district?
I think first and foremost, probably the greatest challenge is the economy. Kind of what I characterize as kitchen table issues. People see the politics or the policies that have occurred. They see jobs going elsewhere, and they want to figure out, how am I going to provide for my family? How am I going to better the lives for my children? And when you have excessive government regulations, government control, that stifles innovation, that stifles entrepreneurship. And so the key thing there, I think, is getting government out of the way. Ronald Reagan kind of said it, the 10 most dangerous words are, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help. I want to get the government out of the way so people can realize their dreams, that American dreams for those people. Second issue, I think, is crime. We've seen across the country and even in this area, the southern border has had such an influx of undocumented people just flooding this country. Just came across, I think it was 13,000 murderers have now crossed into this country under the Biden-Harris administration. And it's coming to all of our communities. Every state is now a border state. We've heard stories from here in Ohio about the challenges that inundating communities with people with no background checks. And it's coming here in Hamilton County as well. It's a challenge we have here. And I think through leadership from Columbus, putting pressure, if you will, on the federal government to try to remedy that issue and rectify the problems that we've experienced during the past 3.5 years is necessary.
You mentioned previously about Ohio not getting in the way of businesses, but is there a path to help the small business owner to maintain and grow their business from the state level to help them?
Right. Yes, there is. My family, we've operated and run some small businesses ourselves. And I just find it befuddling or aggravating, if you will, just the bureaucratic process people have to go through just to open a business. Making sure you got this form filed, you're reporting this income, paying these taxes on time. And, it is overly burdensome, like I said, from personal experience with family businesses. And again, that's where I talk about getting government out of the way, getting government off the back of the people, encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging small businesses. Because if that can happen and people can flourish, they have the right to succeed and fail on their own. But let's do it on the merits, not because of the government regulations.
You mentioned crime as an issue. What can be done to curb crime from the state level helping out?
Helping out, I think you have BCI, the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, under the Attorney General's office, making sure that those is adequately funded and staffed to provide that support to the local communities. The local communities is kind of where the rubber meets the road on crime. And so it's important there that the state it kind of be a partner, if you will, with local law enforcement, with local prosecutors. The other issue is, we see crimes about, these snatch and grabs or these mobs going into small businesses, convenience stores and whatnot, and just clearing them out. And we've got to address that, I think, more firmly as a society, that it's not only not acceptable, but, the punishment, if you will, for doing so has to be more significant and give the power to the judges to do that in the appropriate cases.
There's crime on the streets, but there's concern about school safety. What can the state do to help the school districts?
Yeah, most schools now, I think, have school resource officers, law enforcement personnel in and about the school buildings, but we've got to make sure first and foremost that it is adequate for the size of the school or the school district. And that. And it's, I think, a continual assessment and providing that assessment. Again, being a partner, if you will, with the local school districts in order to do the right assessment to figure out what are the risks, where are the weak points, if you will, in order to remedy potential issues that might occur in schools with crime.
If you're watching this program live tonight, October 1st, and you'd like to be part of it, you still have time for local residents to submit your questions to the candidate that we have here. Email live@waycross.org. And you do need to include the resident's name, address, and community, but we will only read your first name and the street. What can be done to help the police and fire in funding, which is a major issue, but also in recruiting, getting people wanting to be firefighters and wanting to be police officers?
In terms of funding, I think that is an important area where the state, again, can be that partner with the local community. It's kind of amazing. You look at the recent operating budget and the capital budget that was passed by Columbus, and so many, if you will, pet projects that really don't go to the core governmental functions, which my opponent supported, and I can talk about one of the things she supported in that. But when you come to these budgets, it's funny, I kind of say, politicians love spending other people's money. Well, it's the taxpayers' money, and it's got to be done responsibly. And I believe when we do, in Columbus, when we're dealing with the operating budget, when we're dealing with the capital budget, it needs to be focused on supporting core governmental functions back in the districts. That being police and fire, that being education, being roads, being infrastructure. It's not pet projects of a water park or stuff like that. And unfortunately, too often in Columbus, on both sides of the aisle, people would love giving those pet projects and bragging about. So I think we got to be focused. If we're focused on those budgetary priorities, back to the core and principles of role of government, that's where you provide that support there. In terms of recruitment, I think it's we got to look at what actually drives people into the police and fire services. Talk to them. It's listening again. It goes back to listening to people. What drove them, and how is morale, and how things can be doing. A lot of it, though, I've got to say, is probably on the local level, on the management or managerial skills, of the local government. For example, in the city of Cincinnati, what the mayor and city council is doing is going to control recruitment more so than Columbus. And so we got to make sure our local officials appreciate that, but at the end of the day, people are going to be called upon to vote for or against their local officials. That's going to drive recruitment better than anything from Columbus.
Mr. Hartman, if you are elected, what are your goals in the office?
My goal, I kind of say this. Let me think about this. We always look to government for solutions, and that gets us is more and more government. But my background, my history of work as a lawyer, as a public advocate, is to promote individual freedom and liberty. Individual freedom and liberty allows individuals to take the risk of operating their own business without overburdensome governmental regulations. Individual freedom and liberties allow parents to promote and advance their own children's education as they see fit, not as the government sees fit. So I think my goal really is not to look to enact more laws that regulate people. My purpose of going to Columbus will be to support the individual, and in so doing to pull back those laws that create such an overregulation on people. So I look at success as being not every law I can pass to put on the books. What laws can we pass to get off the books? Because if you think about it, when you have government, more laws, more regulations, that pulls back individual freedom and liberty. Give one and take from the other. And I believe in the individual. I think when people have common sense, they generally know what's right for them. But I tell you this, I don't want government telling what's right for me or for you. You know what's best for you. You know what's best for your family. And so the best thing we can do is to get government out of the way, not in your way.
What are one or two of the most proud of different things in Ohio and your district? What are you most proud of?
I think if you look at the district right now, it goes from Anderson Township into Newtown, Indian Hill, Madera, Amberley Village, Reading, Laughlin, Lincoln Heights, Woodlawn, Wyoming, and Finneytown area in Springfield Township. It is diverse. It is both in terms of social economics and just backgrounds and experiences, different school districts that are very different. And I think that's kind of an asset. And it's interesting when I'm out there talking to people, knocking on doors, talking to you and your neighbors. You all have different perspectives in life, and it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of an asset, if you will. For me, talking and listening and being that sponge, absorbing that information from people. And I think it makes a better decision. When you have, if you have a single point of view and that's all you're hearing, kind of an echo chamber, it's not good. Getting varying points of view, the pros, the cons, hey, I didn't think about that point. I think at the end of the day, that makes for better decision making. And because of that diversity that we have in the 27th district, it will probably make me as a better state representative for you, the people of the 27th district, in coming to a position to advocate on your behalf.
You talk about being a state representative and your goals. What is the best way for you, if you were elected, to be able to connect with those people within your district?
Yeah. I think the key thing is having town halls. It's one thing I can go to a council meeting, I can go to a township trustees meeting and listen and talk to the elected officials, but at the end of the day, it's the individual voters and opportunities, finding those opportunities to just sit down, in forums such as this and listen to people, what challenges they have, what's good, what's bad in their life. Hey, that you have that problem, let's figure out a solution. So, and it's doing it throughout the district. As I said, I kind of laid out the whole geography of the district. It's getting to those different areas of the district. It's also just going to various community events in the district and being there, again, to listen. I'm not here to preach to the people, here's what's best for you, I'm from the government. No, it's the other way. What's your issues? How do you think we can solve the issue? Let's work on it together. So it's getting out and about, and I think really the key is those town halls. I know several state reps do that right now, and they say it is a wonderful opportunity for them to get that feedback, on a daily basis or weekly basis whenever they have their town halls. Right now I don't think my opponent does that as the sitting state rep. It's like I said, I think she more sits there and does whatever Columbus tells her to do.
You talked about the economy earlier. What could you believe the steps could be taken from the state to attract larger companies to invest in Ohio and particularly in your district?
Right. First, I'm going to say I'm not looking more so for larger companies. The core of the American economy is the small business. And I think that's really the core that I'm looking for, is really to promote the small businesses, because those are people who are working, their sweat equity into those businesses, trying to better their lives, better their families' lives, improving the lot of their children and their grandchildren. And so I think, again, I talked a little bit earlier about getting rid of the government regulations. Like I said, when we started our own family business, just the paperwork, the forms you had to file, you didn't file this form, you get penalized for this or that. You know, I can see how people can easily become discouraged to take that task on. You know, and those who do it are I salute you. You have, you know, taken the bull by the horns and pursued. So that's one thing. You know, I'm not a fan of giving significant tax breaks to big businesses. You know, that's, I think, in the sense of government picking winners and losers. And I don't think that's the role of government. I think the role of government is to get out of the way, protect people, provide the fire, the police, the schools. But once that's done, get out of the way and let the people flourish on their own with their own energy, not to stifle that energy. And so I think, you know, regulations reduction helps everyone across the board. I think we still need to look again at tax reform and reduction of tax, hopefully the eventual elimination of the income tax, because that also takes money from people just to give more government. And trust me, you look at the capital budget, you look at the operating budget, we spend too much money on stuff that government should not be spending money on. And if that's the case, that means we're taxing too much, we're spending too much.
Mr. Harbin, it is now time for your 2-minute closing statement.
No problem. Again, I want to thank Waycross and the viewers tonight for tuning in and providing this opportunity. As I go throughout the district, knocking on doors, talking to people, talking to individuals who I wish to represent, I understand. I hear the hope that they have for themselves and their families, and it is encouraging. It is positive, but they also recognize challenges ahead. They recognize challenges of the economy. They recognize the challenges of the crime rate and the threat of criminal activity in the area, and that does no one any good, and they recognize it. And I think it's important that I'm there and listening, and I understand those issues. I have been an advocate for people, for small businesses, for individuals. And I want to take that back to Columbus. I kind of say, again, I kind of talked earlier about, the role of government. What is the proper role of government? But the more government you have, the less individual freedom and liberty you have. I believe in the individuals. I believe in you, the people of the 27th District. I want to empower you. I want to enable you to become all that you can be, free from government regulation, free from government control. And when that happens, you flourish, your family flourishes, and our community flourishes. I'm Kurt Hartman. I'm running for the 27th State House District. I would appreciate your vote this November 5th, or if you vote early, starting October 8th. Thank you and have a good evening.
Mr. Hartman, thank you. Voting is Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts October 8th. The last day to register or update your name or address is October 7th. To get details, go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov. We thank Mr. Hartman once again for being here. If you would like to have more information, you can view this election form or other election forms that we have by going to waycross.tv. I'm Kurt Radel, Waycross Community Media. Thank you for watching and good evening.
Waycross takes no positions on candidates or issues. We conduct these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 5th election.